They are funky punks from Hollywood who happened upon an entirely new sound.
It kind of meant the world to us, and there was an extremely intense sense of vitality in what we did.
If you look back on it at that time, it was so out of context of what was going on, and it was so fresh and original.
It literally came out of nowhere.
From the start, the Red Hot Chili Peppers came out swinging.
It felt great to be on stage naked, you know, with this sort of exaggerated phallus, you know, dangling between our legs.
But just beneath the Chili Peppers' flamboyant front lies an unflappable friendship.
Those guys are my real brothers, you know? Those are the ones who I spilled my guts out to. Those are the ones I cried to. Those are the ones I poured my heart out to.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner.
Their brotherhood was put to the test by the painful loss of one of its members.
He just made a mistake, took the wrong drugs, the wrong time, and he didn't make it, you know? And it's just really
The Chili Peppers survived the tragic death of one of their own, only to witness the near-fatal fall of another.
I just thought he was going to die. I mean, I was sure that John was going to die.
Scar tissue that I wish you saw.
But after a miraculous recovery, the rejuvenated Chili Peppers broke new ground and went on to achieve their greatest success.
It was like, you know, having someone die in your family and then come back to life.
Now, the hard truth and riveting reality of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the story behind the music. After more than 2 decades, the Chili Peppers are hotter than ever. One-time musical rebels who've come back from the brink to outshine and outsell most of their pop peers.
They like us. People still want to come and see us. It's awesome.
I have a funny feeling that we're just getting started, which is pretty bizarre because, you know, we've been together forever.
Today, they're a global sensation. But when the world was getting its first taste of the Red Hots, many thought the Chili Peppers were anything but cool.
We would like to dedicate this set to Sinead O'Connor's Wet Feet.
Early on, critics dismissed them as shallow, sex-crazed Southern Californians who had rolled onto the music scene riding skateboards.
They were seen as a joke band or a party band or pretty much just like a goof act that probably wouldn't go anywhere other than break up in a couple years maybe.
Branded as tattooed hooligans by some, they were held up as heroes by a lost generation in search of a new sound.
There was nothing like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were fresh, they had a total sense of humor about them, but they were really cool, and they had this energy.
They came on the scene and just blew the doors off of traditional music as people knew it at the time, period.
The Peppers say their unique sound and unusual strength comes from a special bond, a link that formed in childhood and has grown with each passing year.
You know, we loved each other. We were family, and because of that, you know, we were able to create this band.
Michael Flea Balzery, Anthony Kiedis, and Hillel Slovak began their brotherhood in Hollywood back in '78. Anthony and Flea were just 15 when their worlds first collided on the campus of Fairfax High.
I first met him, I had a kid in a headlock, and I was like, I'm gonna kill you.
And I went up to Flea and I said, you know, if you lay another hand on him, I'm gonna have to rough you up.
And he looked so mean, I laid off him right away. And anyway, we ended up sitting next to each other in driver's ed class in high school.
They became very close. I remember Michael coming home and saying, I met someone I can really talk to. And they were pretty close. Well, I guess they've remained it all these many years later.
When Anthony met Flea, he was already a star of sorts. Flea's music teachers believed he was the most talented trumpet player they'd heard since the legendary Herb Alpert, who'd attended Fairfax High decades earlier. It was Flea's stepfather who fed the young boy's appetite for jazz. He was a musician who frequently held jam sessions in their home.
I mean, just seeing all those guys together in a room, sucking and blowing and hitting and playing his instruments, I would roll on the floor in hysterical laughter, just, you know, and it was the first time I really felt the intangible, magical effects of music.
When they'd have sessions at the house, they'd let him sit in a little bit. And I knew he was kind of special a little bit because one of these jazz clinicians stared at him and said, "Where the f*** that kid get that sound?"
While Flea was belting out jazz riffs, his friend Anthony Kiedis was running from audition to audition in hopes of becoming an actor. At age 11, Anthony moved from his mother's home in Michigan to live with his father in L.A. His dad was an aspiring actor struggling to make it in the movie business.
I knew that Hollywood had something in the air that Michigan did not, because I had been out here visiting my dad on summer vacations, and I mean, you could just taste it. There was psychotic beauty in the air, and I wanted to live in that air. I was going to go to Hollywood and live with my dad and be a movie star.
Anthony didn't become a star of the big screen, but he did appear in a handful of movies and television shows.
I thought maybe you could help me with my homework.
Yeah, you know, like you did with Frankie.
Come on, it's all over school. You have been voted the girl most wanted to do homework with.
He was often cast as a streetwise kid, a role that, thanks to his dad, Anthony was well suited to play.
When I came out to California, my dad was very involved in chasing girls and having different girlfriends and very open about his sexual existence.
Anthony says his dad was a flamboyant playboy who introduced him to sex and drugs, all at a tender age.
I started dabbling with heroin when I was 14. That's the first time I tried it. And it was kind of by accident, actually. I thought it was cocaine. And it was white, and it was sitting on a table, so I went and did it, and I got high, and I liked it very much. You know, I thought it was a beautiful feeling.
Anthony was far more schooled in the ways of the world than most of his friends at Fairfax High. But for the most part, he was still a typical teen who liked hanging out with his buddy Flea and their mutual friend Hillel Slovak.
Hillel and I and Flea, we were actually really a trio. And we just spent a lot of time listening to music together, getting high, you know, talking about life, going to the mountains, going to Yosemite, going on these backpacking trips, just really becoming, you know, lifelong friends.
From day one, James Slovak says his older brother Hillel shared a special chemistry with Flea and Anthony.
All the people that I've seen, nobody is like those three. And they just found each other, and maybe it was fate.
Growing up, Hillel and James shared a bedroom. Money was tight in the Slovak home. But when Hillel was 13, he was given a guitar for his bar mitzvah.
You would